Every rising star wants to be successful, but what are those essential habits that can literally gives you a competitive advantage in starting and scaling and positioning your business to be successful? In today's broadcast, we're going to be looking at some of those essential habits that you can leverage as tools, strategies, and systems to optimize your business success. So today with me in studio, I have a number of dynamic personalities to contribute to the conversation. And just before I introduce my team, I just want to say that today's program comes to you with the kind compliments of one degree to success. Now, to learn more about one degree to success, I want you to go to the website, which is shown on your screen, bestsellerportal.org, and you can navigate this website. On this website, you will not only find one degree to success, you will find so many other topics. But one degree to success is one of those platforms that will help you to understand some of what we're talking about. All right. But of course, we will only be able to perhaps go into 2% of what this program is all about. So if you want to know more of this program and how to position yourself for success, I encourage you to go to the website and get registered now. So with that being said, I now want to take this time to introduce my colleague. I'm going to introduce Clement Frank. Clement Frank, in case you're reaching him for the first time, he is an economist by profession, and he is also a leader by training. He has been trained by one of the top thought leaders in the world. He's in the process of launching a new book, and I want you to follow Frank because that book is going to really give you a lot of tips and hacks to grow and scale your business. Alongside Frank, we have Peter Goulscott. And Peter Goulscott, he is a theologist by profession, and he is also an entrepreneur who really helps people to build their legacy. He specializes in looking at things as human growth. With Peter, you will also learn about the importance of master planning. And what he would say is that if you don't have your personal life master plan, you're just like a ship at sea who's going wherever the ebb and flow of life is taking you. But with a master plan, you can anchor your ship, you can be your captain, and you can predetermine the quality of life that you want to attain in business or in life. So, with that being said, I want to welcome my team. How are you guys? Great to have all of you here.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yes, man. Today, we're going to be looking at a pretty interesting topic, and it's about habits. I mean, what habits contributes to business success? And I want to jumpstart the conversation, and I by looking at some of the habits. One of the habits that I want to emphasize is the habits of forming healthy, productive relationships with the right people. You may call it forming, or you may be call it investing in the healthy, productive, and relations. One of the things that I've recognized is that people in business or in life, you rise and fall based on the quality of relationships that you have with the right people. All right. So that is a habit that you want to have and to own. It's a habit that you want to invest in. But let us look a little bit at it. I mean, what does the application of this habit look like? The habit of forming healthy, productive relationships with the right people. And I'm going to share two concepts. You can develop that habit of giving gifts. Simple things as giving gifts. You know, in our community, I could recall many years ago, there is this young lady. She is a giver. She always shows up and she always give gifts. And I recognize at one time she asked one of my sons to do something, and he had to use his technical skills to get it done. And I says to him, "Okay, this person is a giver, and you now have to learn to be a giver. So you're not going to charge a dime for the service that you're going to provide, because you're going to be a giver too. Because it's about building relationships." So she had laid the groundwork that made it her deserving of receiving not one gift, but multiple gifts and strengthen relationships. So I do believe that the attitude of giving gift, the attitude of giving instead of receiving, is an essential uh, element of fostering healthy, productive relationships. The second concept that I'm going to share is what I call value propositioning. All right, you can table your a value proposition. In this case, it's going to be slightly different, but very much the same. Those who are following me, you would often hear me say that to be successful, several dynamics must be at work. One, you must have value that people value, because when you have value that people value, you can proposition, you can leverage that as a value proposition. In previous broadcasts, I've explained what having value that people value means. It could mean that you have, for example, uh, something that people value. In this case, it could be perhaps real estate. Perhaps it can be a transportation services. Perhaps it can be something along those lines. But whatever it is that you have value that people value, and you leverage that to build relationships. All right. You may have a shop in the community. All right. Can you leverage that to build out relationships with people in your community? You may have a school. Can you leverage that as your value proposition to build out relationships in your community? So the ability to do this, all right, it can become a springboard that helps to open the door to a lot of opportunities and for you. So these are some soft essential habits that you need. But let me go through them quickly. So it's having value that people value, and the next is being value that people value. In this case, the value that is being propositioned is now dependent on you, because it is you now being value that people value. So in this context, you might be a lecturer. In this context, you might be a business consultant. And how do you up level these skills as a means of building relationships? As a consultant, perhaps you might want to build a relationship with specialized organization. So instead of perhaps asking for money, you can ask for relationships, because the relationship value has a higher value than money value. All right. The money value may probably pay you to get one job done, but the relationship value is going to open doors for you to be paid multiple times. And that's what you want for your business. So this is the type of frame of mind, state of mind that you want to be in when you want to be successful. And in conclusion, let me say this. I can recall many years ago, I had someone working for me part time because he was a technician. So When the computers, you know, begins to act up, I would call him. But on one occasion, we were talking, and he was saying to me the struggles that he's going through in terms of accessing clientele. And to me, that was a surprise because he knows his job as a computer technician. He knows his job. So I sat him down and I said, this is what I recommend. I recommend that you find at least five uh, big businesses, medium sized businesses, and I want you to proposition them. All I want you to do is to produce your business card and give it to them and say, if something goes wrong with your computer, I'm going to work for free. Just proposition. And when you finish your work, you say it's free. Now, in this context, it's not free because what you're doing, you don't have visibility, and that's why you're not increasing your market share. You haven't break through that no like and trust as yet. So when you proposition in this context, you give, a business leader an opportunity to know you and to then make a decision to build that continuous relationship with you based on how you deliver quality. And this is the concept of propositioning, tabling your value proposition to the right clientele base. All right. And this is what I call building the relationship with the right people. All right. So don't look at it to say I'm giving away my talent, I'm giving away my skill. No, you're building relationship and it comes with a cost. Think of it in the context that if you had to consult an advertising agency and they had to produce the ad for you. And then when the ad is done, you have to go air the ad across mass media, social media. It would have come at a cost.
Hmm.
But here you now eliminate that cost by simply propositioning the ideal client. And in most cases, when you say it's free, because the leaders of those business has a moral compass, they would say, no, man, I can't have you work for free. And in cases, you end up getting paid more than what you would ask for. And bam, a relationship is formed. So I trust that you enjoyed the hack today. Frank, all to you.
Hi. Uh, it's all to me. How are you guys doing? And I'm
Good,
hoping
buddy.
that
Good, good,
our
good.
listeners are in tune to us. I'm happy to know that a lot more persons are viewing us. And I wish we can go into that million line for viewership.
Yeah. Mhm.
So why we talking about business habits and success? And the, the the thing about business habits and success is stems or pivots on leadership. And why is leadership important? Sorry about that. So, sorry about that. So, why is leadership important in any business in order to push it towards success? Because it doesn't matter if you're running a non-profit organization. It doesn't matter if you're running a branch of government. It doesn't matter if you're running a for-profit enterprise. You will always need some kind of vision for the future of your group. And you will also need leaders who can help plan and successfully execute that vision. From motivating others to cooperate in completing necessary tasks to becoming what tasks are essential in the first place. Leadership has an enormous place within business. What is it in business? What constitute good leadership exactly? It's a surprisingly difficult and rather subjective question to answer. In the business world, leadership can take a wide variety of forms. There are career tracks that
In
require
the business world,
leadership.
leadership can take a. Sorry
There are,
about that,
car-
bro. Go ahead.
there are career tracks that require leadership as a fundamental aspect of their job description. When you go to the highest levels, the CEOs are the top strategists for an organization, literally the leader of the company. But underneath those high level positions, leadership skills can remain invaluable in a variety of positions throughout an organization. Now, according to the Center for Creative Leadership, which is a nonprofit leadership development organization which has worked with hundreds of Fortune 1000 companies, they say there are several key qualities of a leader. And these qualities include empathy, courage, an ability to delegate, learning agility, or an ability to learn quickly and apply that knowledge in critical situations. And communication skills are also highly prized among leaders. An effective communicator can not only better delegate tasks to members of the team and clearly convey information to them, as well as those at an executive level, but they can also apply the courage aspect of leadership and use their communication skills to broach new ideas that can drive value for the company and shake up the status quo in a good way. And while the boardroom is a very different environment from a battlefield, the defining characteristics of leadership, they're quite similar between business leaders
Mhm,
and military leaders.
mhm,
An
mhm,
ability to take decisive action is one of the most recognizable traits among leaders. Military research has shown that in a battle, a private has about a 20% chance of initiating combat, while that figure is close to 70% for a senior officer. And it's often pretty much the same in the workplace. You see, taking initiative can be difficult. And if you don't understand exactly what needs to be done, if you don't see the bigger picture, then taking initiative can be particularly difficult. For example, the corporate trainers help to teach a variety of working professionals with the new kinds of skills that a company needs, which requires, excuse me, a strategic understanding of the company's dynamic needs in relation to products and services. In other words, a big picture understanding. And similarly, the HR managers are involved with strategic planning, must understand individual talents and the relationship to the rest of the organization. As with many other kinds of business administration career, that comes down to leadership ability. If you're running a business, you might need to determine how to delegate the responsibilities, to deal with interpersonal conflicts, and which will be many, handle unexpected problems, and develop your vision for the company.
mhm,
Business administration leadership is a necessary ingredient for overcoming those kinds of problems. In fact, the importance of leadership in business administration is hard to overstate because at the highest level, the influence of a leader, whether good or bad, can resonate throughout an organization. It can motivate teammates and provide them with a purpose and direction. And so, good leadership can help to establish company culture and developmental direction of an organization. And we have modern examples of great business leaders like Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, as well as other historical examples. Jack Welch helped grow General Electric, acquiring hundreds of companies and overseeing GE move from a valuation of 12 billion to 505 billion during his tenure. And his leadership His leadership in evolving company operations to force employees to embrace change, hiring managers who he knew could keep employees engaged, and insisting they work side by side with employees to better understand their jobs. And those kinds of decisions can define and redefine an origination from the top down. But even at lower levels of management and roles that don't, at first glance, appear to be leadership positions, leadership can be critical. Effective leadership in business can bolster and promote teamwork. It can cultivate a sense of greater good. It can motivate, it can inspire trust, or provide purpose and direction. And in the immortal words of Steve Jobs, management is about persuading people to do things they do not want to do, while leadership is about inspiring people to do things they never thought they could.
Mm.
Over to you, Gary.
Right.
I like the distinction between management and leadership. A great concept. I want to turn now to Peter. I would love to have your share on the subject. So it's
Yeah,
all to you, my friend.
yeah, Gary. It's I like that concept, that front, that last concept that he mentioned as well. And just to for us to realize how important it is for individuals in their habits, and of especially where we are responsible for people, and the responsibility of navigating the intricacy that goes into people's lives, and to know how to really inspire, as he mentioned, and to lead. It's these concepts it's what life is about, and that is what intrigues us when it comes to human growth master planning, because business, the whole purpose of a business, and even as we're talking about habits and business success today, the whole purpose of business is really to serve humanity. If we do not have people, then the basis of going into business is there is no basis. It becomes, there is no inspiration. What are you going to do? The whole purpose behind getting up in the morning, if we just check our lives, why do the hundreds and millions of people get up in the morning, to go to a particular place to do what they do? It all leads back to service of somebody at the end of the day, even that individual within their cubicle, and they think that they're just data, and putting data, entering data into some computer software or some format. The end result of that is that people is being served. And so human growth, and if we can make a habit of understanding that there is somebody that is benefiting at the end of this thing that I am doing. And sometimes what we do not realize is that that same habit comes right back. Well, it comes right back to us, because at the end of the day, we're getting a paycheck. So, forming a habit of service, forming a habit of, and this is what, there's three concepts that I want to talk about today. That if we can build that as a habitual factor, then it will make a whole lot of difference in how and what we do. So I think that if we can build a habit of wisdom, create a habit of increasing our wisdom, and we do not need a whole lot of wisdom to do whatever it is that we're doing, because everything starts with just a small portion, and we incrementally want to develop that small portion. So develop a habit of increasing your wisdom. In order to get wisdom, then there are two other concepts that we have to attach to wisdom. So you gotta, because wisdom is based upon what you have, what you feed yourself with in the form of knowledge. So you want to develop a habit of increasing your knowledge. You want to be more knowledgeable of whatever it is that we're engaging in, whatever it is that we're doing. We have to be aware, we have to be connected to this body of information, or this whatever it is that we are connected in the service that we are doing. There has to be, and here on this platform we speak a lot about data gathering data. So we have to make a habit of increasing our knowledge base. And then the third thing that we want to be work on, because having knowledge, what good is having knowledge if you don't understand the application of the knowledge? So we need understanding. So we need to develop a habit of increasing our understanding, of taking time out to look into, to research, to break down the various concepts of the knowledge into bite size that can be consumed by the mind. So we need wisdom in a world that is so empty and void. It might seem where there is seem like order and dysfunction and abnormalcy seem to be the what the media seem to be pushing at us. And let me say this: I was having a conversation recently, and I was asking, how many persons within your day by day life, on a normal day, how many negative things do we encounter against how many positive things we do encounter? And it is the normal trajectory of life is that positive things are constantly happening, but the media would like to bombard us with so much negatives coming into our lives that sometimes it feels as if the world is falling apart and the sky is falling. But then wisdom will teach us. Having wisdom, increasing your wisdom will give you a sense of control over your life, will give you a sense of direction over your life. And as I said, having that progression from wisdom, knowledge, understanding, because the bottom line of this is what the point I want to make now is that we have to give meaning and definition to our engagement. It is important that we're constantly defining and giving meaning to our process of engagement. Whatever it is that we're doing, what makes it better, what causes us to increase, what causes us to do better, what causes us to give greater value. Gary, you were talking about having value and being value and giving value. What causes us to do that habitually at a much higher scale every time? It is the ability to define and give meaning to the process of engagement. And what I do recognize why this is important, even as we are, developing our human capital, even as we're engaging people, even as we're doing business, what I do find is that a lot of times we're doing things without even taking the time to understand what it is the engagement is. So, for instance, we talk about life, and in our human growth master plan program, we can't get around that because our objective is to help people to engage at a higher frequency where life is concerned. But oftentimes we are going through life and we do not define what life is. Where business is concerned, business is engaged to transact and to produce, to generate money. But if you ask, everyday people are going out in the marketplace and they are working so hard to attract money into their lives. But then if you ask the common individual outside there, what is money? You get a blank stare, because they did not take the time out to really define what is this thing that we are working so hard to get, because it becomes like the norm for us to just do this thing. The first thing that we're engaged in as we come and understand life, we know that this factor is very important for us to really move our lives. But then how many take the time out to really define, to really give meaning to this process of engagement? So it is in that respect that we're saying that individuals make a habit of increasing your wisdom incrementally, make a habit of increasing your knowledge, make a habit of increasing your understanding incrementally. And given over time, we will find that our lives, our business, will be even greater success. Your life as a business will become even more successful.
All right, thanks for the share, Peter. I want to continue by looking at some of the facts that we have stated. Now, success in business is not automatic. I repeat, success in business is not automatic. But with the right information, you can position your business for greatness. And one of the habits that you want to form, you want to learn, apply, and master is the habits of research, market intelligence, data analytics. And what exactly am I saying when I say market research, data analytics? This is an essential habit. And it is an essential habit because your business can rise and fall simply based on your ability to execute this habit properly. And what I will do, I will try to paint a very clear picture to help you to understand the importance of research, the importance of data collection, the importance of data analytics. Now, one of the first things that I want you to bring to mind as you start to think about research and your business, you want to first of all be able to research the SWOT. And what do I mean by the SWOT? Anyone who would have done marketing, you would have been somewhat familiar with SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that lies in the market. So you want to assess the type of business that you're doing or intend to get into, and you want to spend some time collecting information about the strengths of the market. Perhaps some of the strengths might be you have deep pocket competitors who are producing value for money. That are strengths that you need to know, because if you're innovating a product or service that is going to play in the same field, but you don't know who you're playing against, you already put yourself at a disadvantage because you're playing with big businesses that have deep pocket, and they don't have a problem spending money to maintain their competitive advantage. So collecting the right information, analyzing the right information is going to put you in a better position of strength when it comes to leveraging the right information to achieve an end result. So data collection and data analytics, you need to form healthy habits around this. This is what helps you to be in the know of doing business. You don't want to be speculating as a rising star in business or as a business leader. You want to know that you have the essential information upon which you are basing your business decision on. So there's a SWOT, there's the S and the T, which is the strengths that you want to analyze. And let's go through the second one, which we call the W in the SWOT, which is weaknesses. You see, when you are data collection, data analytics driven, it also allows you to collect sensitive information about your market that helps you to see weaknesses in the market. So let's take, for example, yes, you may have big players that have deep pocket and don't mind spending money to maintain their competitive advantage. But then they have gaps in the market. They have weaknesses in the market. So you don't want to compete with them necessarily where they are strong. You want to compete with them where they are weak. So because of the fact that you see weaknesses in the market, you can now quickly innovate products, introduce your content into the market, and try to dominate where they are weak. So these are essential habits that you need to have. And as Frank would have said earlier on, in the boardroom, it could be like intellectual warfare.
Mhm.
I want to assure you also in applying the marketing tools, all right, and trying to get a competitive advantage is very much the same. It's an intellectual warfare. Everyone is applying the best strategies to win the attention of the ideal client and position their products and services in the know, like, and trust. It's very much the same. So the better ones survive. So if you're not thinking in this way, if you're not analyzing, you know, your competitors, if you're not assessing the strengths and the weaknesses in this case, and looking at the weaknesses and say, well, I can quickly innovate here. I can quickly provide services here. I can quickly become the dominant player here. The possibility exists that you're not ready to play the game of business,
Mhm.
because business in all cases is not about everyone pat you on the back. The nature of business, you're going to have enemies.
Mhm.
Even when the enemy smile in your face and you can't put a face to the enemy, you're going to have enemies. It's the nature of business. However, you still need to recognize weaknesses and you need to be prepared to play on those weaknesses, leverage it to your advantage if it makes sense, because you still need to stress test it. But don't let me get there now. So
Mhm.
we look at the S in the SWOT, we look at the W in the SWOT. Let's now look at the O in the SWOT, which is opportunities. You want to make it a habit to continuously investigate opportunities. Of course, when you see weaknesses, it may or may not be an opportunity, but you need to be able to do the analytics to ensure that if even it is an opportunity to innovate products, to introduce new products into the market, and to position yourself as a dominant player in this particular field, capitalizing on the opportunity, you want to be certain that it makes sense. All right? It makes sense.
Mhm.
And an opportunity is not an opportunity unless it makes sense. And let me just bring in the stress test here a little bit. I would say to a lot of people, don't start a business until you stress test it. So you may see an opportunity, it may be an opportunity to start a business or not. But how do you know if it makes sense?
Mhm.
If you're not stress testing, you just don't know. So there's a couple of things that you look at in the stress test. Is the market big enough? You want to know that. Is the market viable enough? You want to know that. Are you reaching an urgent and immediate need? You want to know that. Does the ideal client, most importantly, do they have the ability and the willingness to invest in your products and services? You want to know that. So an opportunity can present itself, but when you do the analysis of the ideal client, if they don't reach these characteristics that I have just tabled, it's an opportunity that just don't make sense, because you may have people that have a need, but then they don't have the ability and the willingness to pay for
Right.
your products and services. Does the opportunity make sense? It doesn't make sense unless you can figure out if they can pay, who you can get to pay for them. So as you evaluate the opportunity, it must make sense. Academic must make sense. Starting a business must make sense. You want to make it make sense. So let's look at the last concept here, which is the T in the SWOT. In starting to scale a business and growing a business and possibly having a competitive advantage, you're constantly on the threat. And this is why I say competitive advantage is not necessarily infinite, it's not for life. Because once you have attained a competitive advantage, once you have established yourself as a dominant player, you're fully exposed. You're fully exposed. Your strategies are well known. And guess what? Because your strategies are known based on fact principle, it's not only the boardroom you got, an intellectual war taking place. Your competition is going to diagnose you, and they're looking for your strengths and weaknesses. And if you've got strengths, they're going to say, listen to me, I'm going to undermine your strengths. The nature of business, the nature of the beast. So doing business is fun, but you have to be psychologically prepared to do battle. All right. If you are all empathetic in an environment that is not playing at this level, you're playing among sheep in wolf clothing,
You don't know.
the wolf will eat
Mhm.
you up. It's the nature of business. And I want to say this because I I don't want to paint a falsified notion of what business is. In marketing, I could recall many years ago, one of the books that we were exposed to is Guerrilla Marketing. Can you imagine that they're using a war terminology in marketing?
Mhm.
They call it guerrilla marketing. And to paint a clearer picture of this before I hand to Frank, I talked about a story a little while ago where the Americans were forced to introduce, I think it's a Xerox photocopying machine, but they did the big one. And because it was big, they had to sell at a certain price. And because they were selling at a certain price, a certain demographic was priced out of the market. So China saw this gap, they saw this opportunity. And what do you think they did? They didn't produce the big one, they produced a smaller one that was doing the exact same job that the big one was doing, and they entered the market. But here, guerrilla warfare. The Americans say, hey, this is patent infringement, and they file an injunction against China
Mhm.
in, in distributing the computer in the market. File an injunction. Guerrilla warfare at its best.
Mhm.
So while that injunction was filed, what do you think they did? They now quickly run to factory, innovate the small one, and flood the market with it. Flood the market with it. And then what do you think they did? Withdraw the injunction now that they dominate the market. So the beat China on the technology or the price and everything else you could think about. If I homemade products, you can't come to my territory and beat me in my market. Guerrilla warfare. So just to give you some example of how, some leaders in business do business. And sometimes you just have to be mentally prepared for this because sometimes when the attacks come at you, if you're not mentally strong, you may ask yourself, why me? Why the market is not fair? The market is not fair. All right, unless you're part perhaps of a big clique, a big organization, and everyone support everyone because you're now operating like a cartel. I'll talk about cartel later on. Business cartel. Over to you, Frank. You're mute. You're mute.
I couldn't help smiling at the way the United States behave in the guerrilla warfare tactics. And but that are some of the habits, whether you like it or not, the success. Um, Organizations do it all the time. In economics, it's called we have a terminology called price war, where you have it happens a lot in the airline industries, where prices for tickets are cut until the airline gets most of the demand because the low cost in the ticket. You may say, but it's undercutting or whatever, but that's reality.
Mm.
Yeah, that's the nature of business.
That's the nature of business. But getting back to habit, I want to look at the power of habits in leadership and how we can foster high performance team. Ever heard about disruptive leadership? It is all about instigating behavioral change and starting with adopting high performance habits and emanating them through their spheres of influence. Habit forming leadership drives and sustains employee high performance for a long time, for long term success. So the highlights as creatures of habit, whether it's our morning chai, coffee, gin and tonic, or a daily playlist to boost our work group, it's clear that habits, especially leadership habits, play a significant role in shaping high performance team. And key habits that make great leaders are focus. And the term focus is just an abbreviation for flexibility, optimism, communication, unwavering commitment, unwavering commitment, and self awareness. And the three steps to cultivate high performance habits include the P3s, which is plan, practice, and propagate. So, in today's fast paced world, productivity is becoming a necessity to navigate workplace complexities. And one of the most effective productivity tips is the 525 rule by Warren Buffett. Don't have enough time to get into all that, but most of us work in complex organizations that are trying to grow and succeed. And regardless of growth, strategy that is in play, success is only possible with leaders at the forefront who are highly capable of identifying, highly capable of attracting, highly capable of leading and developing high performing employees. So, disruptive leadership is all about instigating behavioral change, starting with adopting high performing habits and making them through the spheres of influence. And habit forming leadership drives and sustains employee high performance for long term success. I said that we're all creatures of habit, and by thoughtful selecting and regularly practicing certain habits, we can master high performing skills that lead to success. So we need to start by understanding the transformative power of habits and the significance of leadership, a space that you haven't focused on through a tiny change of organization. What is it? What is the significance of habit forming leadership on shaping effective leaders and creating high performing teams? And especially, why is it crucial for sustained long term performance? Uh, um, Sustained long term performance. You're absolutely bang on when we talk about habits. It's like, a cup of chai in the morning that we have as an habitual thing, or use a certain playlist that gets us going while we are in work mode. And all these habits, and the same goes for leadership too. In habits, you see, the leadership habits are not just routines that somebody follows, they are the essence of who a leader is, who you as a leader truly are. And that really shines through in how you lead organizations. I like to imagine um, leadership as a building. And if leadership is a building, the habits are the bricks. So when leaders make it a habit to actively listen to their team members, it creates an environment where everyone feels heard. And the ripple effect is amazing, right? You can see managers start emulating the leader, and even junior employees feeling empowered. I came across this interesting study recently in HBR, and which found out that best leaders who were rated highly in their leadership effectiveness also displayed strong routines in their communication and decision making. Tiny change. We create habit form products which help transform the lives of people. And hundreds and thousands of customers, both individual and corporate, will come to realization over time that even small positive habits embedded in their lives can boost their game. So if you're a CEO or an intern or a housewife, it doesn't matter. The habit has a tremendous impact. So it's a bit like if you play cricket, right? A good captain doesn't only focus on winning the current match. The good captain pays attention in developing habits within the team members. Like, they need to stay healthy, they need to be disciplined, especially for young players or team. And
Yeah.
that goes a long way in their long-term success. So in short, good habits make great leaders and strong teams. Just like the example of a bamboo tree, such teams can bend, but they won't break no matter the challenge they face. Thank you.
Uh, Frank, I really love that you spoke about habits around leadership. And as you spoke, I think it's essential for us to focus a lot as leaders on what can be done to nurture young leaders, young persons to become leaders earlier, or to nurture people to become leaders while they're young. And I'm happy to see what is going to happen at the Science of Success University as we brainstorm and develop the thesis around these initiatives. I do believe that young people, they are not thrust into essential leadership position early enough. Um, and I think it is a necessary tool right now. But we'll talk more about this. I'll now turn to Peter for your closing thoughts as we look at habits and business success.
Yeah. So I liked what Frank said a while ago about great leadership is not just a matter of winning the match, but the focus is in winning the tournament. And we find that life is somewhat the same thing. It is not just about what we are dealing with, the conditions that we're faced with right at the moment, but it is how we're going to have an impact overall when life is complete. And so these are the reasons why we want to encourage individuals in developing their master plan and designing, because we have to understand that each of us, life and the terminologies that we use here about guerrilla warfare, you mentioned about this in the boardroom. Um, Individuals, even in their private lives, you do have a boardroom of those circle of individuals that you do have around you. Life in itself challenges. So even if you have no enemies out there, physical enemies or individuals, who are pressuring, putting, turning their hearts or their minds against whatever it is that you're doing. Life itself will challenge you concerning how you're going to, maintain or accomplish those things, your aspirations, your goals, your dreams, and your desires. So life itself will test you to see if you are worthy. If I should use of those things that you're asking for. Not just life, but your own mind. Your own mind is one of the greatest obstacles that you will have to deal with in order to break through to achieve and to accomplish those things that you aspire to achieve and accomplish. So the having habits that is going to sustain your determination, having habits that, it becomes second nature. And that's the thing about habit. It becomes second nature. You just do it because you know that it is necessary to be done. Some things it just because it's a part of you, you do it. So what we're saying, even as we are building and we want individuals in their master planning, there are some times that we have to get down to the very basics, the very basic, as I said a while ago, about understanding, wisdom, understanding, or increasing, making a habit of increasing wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding. But then, as we mentioned, that we have to make a habit of defining and giving meaning to the or processes of engagement. So even just to make a test of what I just said a while ago, if you should ask the average individual, even though we all know that wisdom is essential, if you ask just randomly ask somebody what wisdom is, you'll get a question mark, because we haven't taken the time to think about it. If you ask somebody what is knowledge, if you ask somebody what is understanding, and these are basic concepts that are essential to carry out the magnitude of responsibilities that we have to carry out, but we did not take the time to ask the very basic questions as the building block. Frank says, if what did he say? If leadership is the house, then the the individual
The
helping
bricks, the
are,
bricks are the habits.
yeah,
The bricks are
the bricks are the habits, right? So if we do not break down the very fundamental elements of what it is that we are doing, then no wonder why at certain areas of our development, then we run into trouble, because really and truly, we're not really even engaging in the marketplace. Really, we have no competition as big as whatever companies are out there. Call their names: Google, Microsoft, Apple. Call them what their name, because the marketplace is so designed and life is so designed that everybody has his or her place. Gary mentioned a while ago about the SWOT analysis, and you're going to look for that portion in the market that is a gap. You're going to find that gap in the marketplace, because yes, there are so many gaps in the marketplace. So there is a gap for every individual to fill, because life is that system that really needs everyone's participation. As long as we are a part of life, there is a need, a purpose, a mission for you to fill. There's a place for you to fill, and nobody can fill that place but you. If you do not fill that place remain unfilled perpetually. And so making a habit of defining, giving meaning, because that's what basically what your purpose now is going to come out when you make it a habit of defining and giving meaning to the process of engagement, because now you will be able to communicate. And as you communicate, somebody will understand that did not saw it that way before. And there you go. You have carved your place in the market. Now people will want to engage with you because you just have a way of putting it. The same thing that Frank said, the same thing that Gary said. You have a way of saying it in such a way where I get it. I get. Frank said the same thing. I didn't get it. Gary said the same thing. I didn't get it. And you said it, and suddenly, aha, I get it. And I'm going to need you now to be my interpreter, because there's something about you that I resonate with. And I'm willing to listen to you, because when you speak, you make me feel as if I understand. So, making a habit of defining and giving meaning to the process of engagement. Make it a habit of increasing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding so that you can be relevant in the marketplace. Thank you, Gary.
All right, great share. I just want to remind the listening audience, the public, that today's program comes to you with the kind compliments of 1 degree to success. And I want to encourage you to go to this website, which is the bestsellerportal.org, and learn more about 1 degree to success. Some of the things that you will learn in this program is how to master the art and science of success. So if you want to be successful, you need to understand what is success, how to see success in the context of art, and how to view success in the context of science. And this body of knowledge is going to set you up for success in business or in life. So I encourage you to go to this website, log on to the website, learn the programs that is being offered here, especially 1 degree to success. Register for this program so you can start to affect the positive change that you need in your business and in your life. So I'm going to now come to Frank to give his closing remarks before I wrap up today's program. Frank?
Hey, I wanna. I had given you the thing about talking about focus, and for those who want to understand focus, it's just an acronym that was coined by Tiny Change for leadership development programs. And as I said, it stands for flexibility, optimism, communication, unwavering, commitment, and self-awareness. Not going to go into it much, but let's try to understand each in detail. You see, flexibility is where you need to develop the habit of staying flexible if you want to be a great leader. We know that no 2 days in leadership are the same. So being adaptable is a very crucial element. Let's say one of your team members suddenly falls sick. Being flexible means that you can quickly redistribute tasks without breaking a sweat. So stop saying to your team, this is how it is done here. Instead, start opening up your mind to new ideas and learn from them. Optimism. As leaders, you need to start developing the habit of looking at the bright side of things. An optimistic leader sees challenges as opportunities. They see failures as lessons. So this mindset not only keeps you resilient, but also uplifts the entire team. So you have to start using every crisis that comes your way to practice thinking optimistically, and slowly it becomes a second nature. Communication. Leaders need to develop the habit of communicating effectively to the team, and this can be a game changer. You know, it's easy to overlook, but valid for pretty much everything. I always look up to leaders who has amazing communication skills because I realized that effective communication eradicates misunderstanding and it fosters an environment of openness. In fact, there are research studies that show that clear communication is the number one trait which employs value in a leader, and it's ranked even above good pay. Then the U, which is unwavering commitment, which is like your North Star, your unwavering dedication to the team and the task at hand. Your team needs to see and feel that you're all in. You know you've given your 100%. Commitment is already contagious. Once a leader sets a standard, it's much easier for the team to follow suit. That's the U. And then finally, self awareness. Now let's imagine a car without a rear view mirror. Self awareness helps you understand not just your own strengths, but also the areas that need improvement. It's like an inside job and one that reflects outside.
Mhm.
So, let's say self aware leaders are proven to be more effective and more respected in every corporate setting. So, there you go. The model focus is a pocket sized formula that you need to keep in mind some of the habits that leaders need to develop to be effective in the current situation. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks to those shares, Frank and Peter. Great shares. I want to thank the listening audience who are viewing this program from across the world. Today we are being seen in over 50 countries. Today we have over 35,000 persons who have subscribed to our two of our channels. I want to thank you for subscribing and supporting the platform. I also have recognized that over 70% of the persons who are viewing the program, you have not yet subscribed to the program. So I do want to encourage you to press that subscription button so you would be the first to get these content that we are bringing to you on a regular basis. There's a lot for us to discuss today, but of course, in the interest of time, we did not get to go very deep into, as I said, even 2% of the information we did not get to present to you today. So if you
Mhm.
need more of this information, I want to encourage you to go to One Degree to Success to learn more about this platform. To get to this program, you just need to log on to the bestseller portal .org and navigate the website. I want to thank my team, Peter, who's a theologist and an entrepreneur. I want to thank you for being here today and making your contribution. I wanted to also thank Frank, who is an economist by profession. He's a leader being trained by one of the top thought leaders in the world. And of course, Frank is also in the process of releasing his new book. I want to thank you guys for being here today and look forward to doing this again tomorrow. So do have a phenomenal Tuesday and an exceptional week ahead of you guys. And see you guys tomorrow.